A saleswoman accidentally knocked over a customer's bracelet and quickly knelt down to gather the scattered pearls from the floor. At that moment, a wealthy heiress's diamond ring also slipped off and rolled right to a stop in front of the saleswoman's knees. When she stood up and looked, both women were stunned. They looked exactly alike. Little did they know this encounter would completely change the saleswoman's fate. She rushed to the hospital to visit her hospitalized father and couldn't help asking her mother if she had a twin sister. However, her mother scolded her, saying instead of having time for wild thoughts, she should think about how to raise money for her father's medical bills. This left Ji-suk, who only earned $1 million per month, at a loss. She happened to receive an invitation to a class reunion and thought she could borrow some money from old classmates for emergencies. But when she arrived at the party, no one wanted to talk to her. Then 3 wealthy classmates came over and made her a bet. If she could chug an entire bottle of red wine in one go, they'd give her $1 million. For her father's treatment, she immediately agreed. However, after she finished the whole bottle, the scheming girl only gave her 300 won and mocked her for being money crazy. A rich classmate who couldn't stand watching this grabbed Ji-suk's hand and left. Unfortunately, he wasn't any better. He took Ji-suk to a hotel. Furious, Ji-suk pushed him down hard and told him she wasn't that kind of woman. The humiliated rich guy threw down a wad of cash and told Ji-suk to come find him if she wanted more money. Though humiliated, Ji-suk still picked up the money from the floor and stubbornly said she would definitely pay him back. The rich guy scoffed and left. Ji-suk drank alone at a street stall until she was stumbling drunk on the street, where she happened to be spotted by a wealthy young man named Min-woo passing by. He mistook her for his fiancée Eun-ha and questioned why she was wearing such shabby clothes. Drunk Ji-suk thought he was hitting on her, said something about letting him do as he pleased, and passed out. Min-woo originally wanted to just leave, but thinking about tomorrow's headlines causing the company's stock to plummet and the scornful looks from passers-by, he had no choice but to settle Ji-suk in a hotel first. As soon as they entered the room, she threw up all over him. Min-woo, who had severe germophobia, stripped while running to the bathroom, wishing he could scrub his skin off. Then Ji-suk rushed into the bathroom to continue vomiting and put the money that fell out into a bathrobe pocket before hugging the toilet to sleep. Unfortunately, Min-woo wore that bathrobe home, leaving the servants completely baffled. On the other side, the wealthy heiress Eun-ha was reading a magazine that said if 2 people who look identical meet, the one who sees the other first will die. But Eun-ha clearly didn't take it seriously. Then someone appeared wearing the same shoes and clothes as Eun-ha, but when they saw the face, they realized it was just matching outfits, leaving the less attractive one feeling awkward. The next morning, Ji-suk slowly woke up on the toilet lid. Recalling last night's events left her completely confused. She couldn't find the money anywhere and only found Min-woo's business card. Seeing it was already 9 a.m., she had to rush back to work. Meanwhile, Min-woo's servant had just found a wad of cash in the bathrobe pocket, which was seen by son-in-law Suk-hoon, who took the money saying he'd pass it to Min-woo. At that moment, Min-woo was discussing wedding arrangements with Eun-ha but noticed her knees were perfectly fine. They had been scraped and bleeding last night. This puzzled him greatly. As he was about to check, Eun-ha slapped his hand away, warning him they were just a contracted couple from a family alliance. Inside the room, Min-woo's sister was furiously yelling at Suk-hoon because her brother would get 10% of the group's shares once married, which made her feel unbalanced. Suddenly, a scream came from outside. Suk-hoon immediately rushed out to see Min-woo lying on the ground in a daze while Eun-ha had fallen into the water unconscious. After emergency treatment, the doctor said Eun-ha had become a vegetable, but Suk-hoon warned the doctor not to leak this information. Remembering Eun-ha had told him she saw someone at the mall who looked exactly like her, Suk-hoon found Ji-suk to confirm and asked her to impersonate the vegetative Eun-ha, living a wealthy, luxurious upper-class life from then on. However, Ji-suk refused the proposal to impersonate the heiress. Suk-hoon reminded Ji-suk that her father was a gambling addict who had racked up huge loan shark debts. Only by cooperating with Suk-hoon did she have a way out. But Ji-suk still refused. When she returned home, she found the store had been trashed by debt collectors again, so she went to the mob boss to pay interest first. Unexpectedly, he raised the price on the spot, demanding double payment. An uncle kneeling nearby took the opportunity to ambush the mob boss, but was easily countered and beaten to death with excessive force. They had to take Ji-suk along to dump the body. Suddenly, the uncle in the trunk woke up shouting for help. Several people got out to silence him, and Ji-suk took the opportunity to climb into the driver's seat and drive away. On the way, to avoid a deer in the road, she drove straight off a cliff. Luckily, the car was caught by a steel cable and hung in midair. Then Suk-hoon called. He had been tailing Ji-suk all along. He said he'd pull her up only if she agreed to cooperate. The steel cable was constantly breaking. In desperation, Ji-suk had to agree. Just then, the car suddenly fell into the sea and sank. When Ji-suk woke up, she was already in a hospital with Suk-hoon immediately urging her to memorize a passage, saying she fell into a pool and her injuries caused memory loss. As soon as he finished speaking, her parents who rushed back from abroad came to visit. Afraid of being exposed, Ji-suk didn't dare speak. The congressman's father told her to rest well and arranged for the best medical care before rushing to catch a flight abroad. Suk-hoon had his men pull the comatose Eun-ha out from under the bed, nearly making Ji-suk scream. She realized she was caught in a conspiracy, so she pretended to feel unwell and ran to the bathroom, wanting to call for help on someone's phone, but passers-by ignored her. She had no choice but to drink the cosmetics someone left behind. Coming out, she knelt on the floor vomiting uncontrollably. Suk-hoon had to let her stay in the hospital for observation and showed her a key and suicide note stained with blood, saying the uncle who fell into the sea with her had drowned. And these two pieces of evidence were enough to make Ji-suk a murderer. He told her to make her own choice. Suk-hoon then took the vegetative Eun-ha to a cliff edge, removed the necklace from her neck, and shed silent tears. It turned out they had long been lovers. But to carry out his plan, Suk-hoon had to cruelly throw her off the cliff. On the other side, Min-woo wanted to recover his memory from the day he passed out. So he found the family's personal psychologist for hypnosis. He discovered he had strangled Eun-ha with a bag, and after struggling to escape, he fell into the pool. Seeing something was wrong, the doctor quickly woke Min-woo. After waking, he didn't believe he could do such a thing and wanted to ask Eun-ha for confirmation. Coming to the hospital and learning she had lost her memory, Min-woo sent Suk-hoon away and woke Eun-ha, emotionally breaking down asking what happened that day. Fortunately, Suk-hoon appeared in time and asked Min-woo to leave first. That night, Suk-hoon took Ji-suk back to the wealthy heiress Eun-ha's home. Looking at photos of Eun-ha who looked just like her, and seeing the luxurious mansion before her eyes and all the luxury goods in the house, Ji-suk couldn't help lamenting they had the same face but different fates. Then Suk-hoon took out Eun-ha's information for her to memorize and arranged for someone to watch her before leaving. But Eun-ha didn't agree to share a room with a stranger. This remark instantly enraged Suk-hoon, who grabbed a handbag and strangled her neck, threatening, "Without me, you'd already be dead. Because of me, you can breathe. If you want to become Ji-suk again, just go die. Become Eun-ha and I'll spare you." Under threat, Ji-suk had to give up resistance, but Suk-hoon still had his men guard the door downstairs. In the middle of the night, Eun-ha took advantage of their inattention and climbed down from the balcony. Then she came to the police station wanting to report the case, but was bumped into from behind. It was lawyer Suk-hoon who had rushed over after hearing the news. What fell on the ground was precisely the evidence framing Ji-suk for murder. She handed it to Suk-hoon with trembling hands, then saw the police leadership treating him with great respect because he was the son-in-law of Taeyong Group. Ji-suk knew she couldn't fight him and returned home downstairs in despair, where she ran into the persistent Min-woo. He wanted to confirm whether there were strangulation marks on Eun-ha's neck and yanked off her scarf. Seeing the marks, he was shocked. Finally confirming Eun-ha's fall into the pool was his doing. He helped her put the scarf back on and sincerely apologized before leaving. On the other side, Ji-suk's family went to the police station to report their daughter missing overnight and out of contact. So the police took them to the morgue to identify the body. When they saw their daughter's appearance, the whole family broke down, and the mother was sobbing uncontrollably. Ji-suk saw the TV news report that she stabbed a creditor to death with a key and then committed suicide out of guilt. She knew there was no turning back. From now on, she was the heiress Eun-ha. Soon came the day for the two families to meet. Ji-suk had never drunk such high-end red wine before and kept refilling her glass after each sip. This behavior made everyone think she was strange. Fortunately, her father stepped in to cover for her, saying his daughter's memory had recovered quite a bit and should be fully healed soon. Min-woo looked at Ji-suk's neck and suddenly proposed to cancel the engagement. The old chairman flew into a rage and warned him that if he walked out that door, he'd disown him. Then he asked Ji-suk about her willingness to marry. Having thought it through, Ji-suk finally decided to live behind a mask and agreed to the marriage. After dinner, Min-woo found Ji-suk and suddenly pinned her down in a chair, warning her not to show up at tomorrow's wedding or he'd make her die. The next day's wedding proceeded as scheduled. Backstage while getting her makeup done, Ji-suk saw a happy mother and daughter nearby and immediately thought of her mother. She couldn't help calling to hear her voice, but the call was answered by an aunt. It turned out today was also fake Ji-suk's funeral. Hearing her mother crying her heart out, Ji-suk hung up and ran straight out. Coming to the funeral site, she was about to rush up and reveal her identity but was stopped by Suk-hoon who had rushed over, warning her to think about the consequences of revealing her identity. He turned and left. When she saw the mob boss taking all the condolence money to pay off debts, she backed down. To pay off her father's debts, Ji-suk had to return to the wedding with Suk-hoon. Min-woo could only complete the wedding ceremony with her. They returned home, and Ji-suk was stunned by the magnificent villa before her. On their wedding night, Ji-suk had just lain down to sleep when Min-woo, who had severe germophobia, had the servants change to a completely new set of sheets. He even made 3 rules with Ji-suk. She could only sleep on the sofa, no making noise or rummaging through things, and most importantly, she couldn't enter the small room upstairs. As a condition, Ji-suk could continue seeing her beloved, provided she wasn't discovered. The confused Ji-suk could only silently agree. The next day at breakfast, father-in-law transferred Min-woo back to headquarters and had Ji-suk work at mother-in-law's art gallery. Even when the sister-in-law objected, the old chairman ignored her directly. Ji-suk asked Suk-hoon who Eun-ha's secret boyfriend was. This left Suk-hoon at a loss for words because Eun-ha's secret boyfriend was Suk-hoon himself. Fortunately, Min-woo appeared in time and took her to the marriage registration office. When signing, Ji-suk habitually wrote her old name, noticed it, immediately scribbled it out and rewrote the name Eun-ha. Arriving at the gallery, she happened to run into the mayor's wife, a good friend of her father. Not knowing the situation, Ji-suk could only chat casually for a few sentences. Unexpectedly, the scheming mother-in-law asked her to accompany the wife shopping at their family's mall. Ji-suk was shocked because that mall was where she used to work. She'd definitely run into colleagues. So she made excuses to decline. But under mother-in-law's strong insistence, she had to agree. After Suk-hoon learned about it, he immediately rushed over. The notified mall had already started clearing out, with all staff waiting at the entrance for this VIP. Sure enough, colleagues were shocked to see Ji-suk. When they arrived at the women's section, the wife removed Ji-suk's sunglasses, revealing her true face. But colleagues didn't suspect anything because some had seen the real Eunha before, and Ji-suk's death was an undisputed fact. Suk-hoon, who had rushed over, was relieved to see nothing was exposed. Father-in-law learned that Ji-suk had made the wife very happy and took the opportunity to invite the mayor to come home tomorrow to discuss cooperation. He even praised Ji-suk in front of everyone. The scheming mother-in-law hadn't expected even the difficult wife to be won over by Ji-suk and couldn't help making sarcastic remarks. Ji-suk returned to her room looking at the pile of luxury goods, lamenting that rich people's lives were so plain and boring. She casually checked her brother's social media account and learned today was her mother's birthday, so she grabbed a bag of gifts and snuck out. Looking at her family's restaurant from afar and planning to secretly leave the gifts at the door, suddenly a hand grabbed her. Suk-hoon warned her that if she really loved her family and wanted them to have a good life, she should forget them completely. Ji-suk hoped Suk-hoon would keep his promise to take care of her family. Suk-hoon said the decision was in her hands. Just then, Ji-suk heard her father's phone call inside, learning her mother had disappeared since the funeral and hadn't been found yet. To prevent Ji-suk from acting impulsively, Suk-hoon offered to find her mother. The next morning, Ji-suk urgently found Suk-hoon to ask about her mother's whereabouts. Because today's investment agreement with the mayor needed Ji-suk to step in and stop it, Suk-hoon deliberately said he'd found the missing mother. But when Ji-suk secretly called home and heard her father anxiously asking if it was her mother, Ji-suk understood she'd been deceived. Extremely angry, she found Suk-hoon and slapped him without a word, stunning Suk-hoon. Ji-suk ignored the obstruction and went to find her mother herself. Suk-hoon followed behind calling Ji-suk, telling her there was still time to go back, but Ji-suk couldn't care less. Enraged, Suk-hoon exploded on the spot and rammed into her car. Suk-hoon tried to overtake and stop the vehicle, but just then, a large truck came from the opposite direction. Frightened, Suk-hoon drove off the road to avoid disaster. Though he was severely injured, Ji-suk had no choice but to stop and drag Suk-hoon out of the car. Even so, he still threatened Ji-suk for hanging up on him. Ji-suk called an ambulance for him and left. She came near her home to search for her mother. Then Suk-hoon's man drove a car straight at Ji-suk. Fortunately, Min-woo, who had arrived, spotted it early and leaped to push Ji-suk down by the roadside. Watching the flower petals falling from the sky, Ji-suk suddenly thought of where her mother might be and immediately begged Min-woo to help her. So Min-woo used his connections to call in a large police force to search the mountain. Ji-suk found the approximate location based on childhood memories and indeed discovered her mother's shoes. Ji-suk also found her unconscious mother nearby and hugged her, crying. This let Min-woo experience Ji-suk's true nature for the first time. The ambulance urgently took her mother out when suddenly a young man ran into the road and was hit. It turned out to be Ji-suk's brother and father. Fortunately, they weren't seriously hurt. Suddenly the brother looked inside the vehicle, scaring Ji-suk into quickly hiding. The brother was about to open the car door when the father stopped him, saying mother was on the way to the hospital and they should get there quickly. Just like that, Ji-suk escaped disaster. On the other side, Suk-hoon woke up in the hospital to find his wife sitting by the bed. She had long discovered the relationship between Suk-hoon and Eunha wasn't simple. Facing his wife's questioning, Suk-hoon lied in various ways, but his wife didn't believe him at all. He had to use a retreat tactic, saying since he came with nothing, he wouldn't take anything when he left. As he was about to leave, his wife grabbed him. Suk-hoon's scheme succeeded, and he couldn't help smiling slightly. On the other side, Ji-suk left after seeing her mother was fine. Returning home, she found the signing ceremony had been cancelled. It turned out Suk-hoon had leaked the demolition news to merchants early, causing large numbers of businessmen to protest out of fear of unemployment, forcing the mayor to reconsider Min-woo's reconstruction plan. Having come from poverty, Ji-suk understood the public's worries and difficulties, so she took Min-woo to the traditional market to experience life. Watching Ji-suk skillfully haggle with merchants, it seemed like now she was her true self, completely unlike the money-obsessed heiress before. When they came to a restaurant to eat, unfortunately, the merchant representative discovered Min-woo. Ji-suk immediately pulled him away to escape. Merchants who heard the news attacked them like rats crossing the street. Then Suk-hoon's man made a phone call, and a group of men in hats appeared with clubs, smashing up the stalls. Remembering the helplessness when thugs trashed her family's restaurant, Ji-suk rushed forward to stop them regardless of her own safety. When the man in the hat ignored her and swung his club down, Min-woo appeared in time. The thug tried to continue being violent, but Min-woo revealed his identity as a chaebol heir, scaring the thug into fleeing. The forced demolition incident made the old chairman question Min-woo's abilities, so company directors incited Min-woo to offer bribes, telling him to just give the money to the mayor at tomorrow's opening ceremony. Little did he know Suk-hoon had already tipped off the prosecutor's office and reporters, preparing to catch them red-handed. That night, Min-woo couldn't sleep. Ji-suk noticed his shoulder was bleeding and immediately rushed over wanting to help treat it but was stopped by Min-woo, citing propriety between men and women. Ji-suk Ji-suk saw he was irritable and troubled, knowing it was about the reconstruction plan, and encouraged him to just follow his heart. Min-woo went to the secret room to pack money into a case. He had to win this project to prove himself. Coming out, he saw Ji-suk sleeping like a log and, for the first time ever, carried her to bed. The day before the opening ceremony began, a group of prosecutors and reporters suddenly appeared, rushing directly into the hotel's underground parking garage. At that moment, his man had just put the case in the mayor's car when a group of prosecutors surrounded them. However, opening the case revealed only ordinary apples. Meanwhile, Suk-hoon was already secretly gloating, but when he heard the old chairman announce the reconstruction project had been signed, his face showed shock. Min-woo appeared on the podium in high spirits, planning to preserve the traditional market's culture and products while merging with a modernized shopping center for joint development. This unique and novel speech won applause from the entire audience but made Suk-hoon furious. To show they were a loving couple and stabilize the company's stock price, Min-woo took the initiative to invite Ji-suk to dance. But coming from humble origins, she didn't know how to dance and could only follow Min-woo's lead. Just then, Ji-suk's brother suddenly appeared. Suk-hoon immediately became restless. To avoid exposing her identity, Ji-suk had to pretend not to know him. Watching her brother being forcibly dragged away hurt her deeply. Sister-in-law Mi-yeon, who already disliked Ji-suk, said she'd help find out Ji-suk's brother's identity information, really intending to dig up dirt on Ji-suk. Back at the gallery, on Ji-suk's first day of work, Mi-yeon assigned her to clean toilets and sarcastically said the family doesn't keep useless people. This scene was seen by Ji-suk's brother who came looking for her. He smartly chose to avoid the situation. Then Mi-yeon stopped Ji-hyuk and asked what his relationship with Ji-suk was, but the clever Ji-hyuk didn't say, believing his sister had her reasons for not acknowledging him. On the other side, Min-woo, who received the message, rushed to the gallery, but Ji-suk didn't stop scrubbing the toilet. Min-woo pulled her up and threw the toilet brush hard on the ground, angrily yet caringly questioning why she was doing this work. If outsiders knew, what would they think of him as a husband? He told Ji-suk not to come work here anymore. Seeing her unhappy at dinner, Min-woo thought it was because of the man who appeared yesterday. To conceal her identity, Ji-suk had to admit he was her beloved. Hearing this, Min-woo felt slightly annoyed. Later, Ji-suk told Suk-hoon she wanted to tell her brother everything. However, Suk-hoon pulled out a file and pressed Ji-suk's head down to make her look clearly. It turned out the scheming mother-in-law had been investigating Ji-suk. If he hadn't received advance notice, her identity would have been exposed long ago. Suk-hoon told her to make a clean break with her brother, or he'd quietly eliminate him. Having no choice, Ji-suk had to comply. Soon after, brother Ji-hyuk found Ji-suk and questioned why she wouldn't acknowledge him. Ji-suk, who had prepared in advance, produced a paternity test saying she just looked like his sister but had no blood relation. She then threw out a 100 million won check, telling Ji-hyuk not to bother her anymore. Unexpectedly, her brother immediately tore up the check, saying he didn't want money not given by his sister. Suk-hoon in the corner saw the scene. At this moment, Ji-suk didn't know if her earlier decision was right or wrong. While giving an interview with Min-woo, Ji-suk forced smiles pretending to be loving but ultimately couldn't bear the pressure and ran away mid-interview. Min-woo rushed out to stop Ji-suk and told his secretary to cancel the interview. Seeing Ji-suk depressed and uncomfortable, he took her somewhere. They came to a remote cemetery where Min-woo introduced his daughter-in-law to his birth mother, then asked when Ji-suk's birth mother's death anniversary was. Afraid of being exposed, Ji-suk made an excuse to leave first. Coming to the riverside looking at the diamond ring on her hand, she thought her mother would definitely show it off to neighbors if she saw it. Planning to remove the ring to admire it, she accidentally dropped it in the water. She quickly took off her shoes and went in the water to find it. Then Min-woo came to the riverside and saw the scene. Remembering the previous image of Ji-suk drowning, he nervously told her to come up first, saying he'd buy her a new ring. But Ji-suk insisted on finding it. When she found the ring and was about to come ashore, her foot slipped and she fell completely into the water. Min-woo rushed over to pull Ji-suk up, but the ring fell into the water again and disappeared. Min-woo raged at her. Ji-suk said aggrievedly that it was a wedding ring. On the way back, the car suddenly broke down. Min-woo discovered someone had tampered with the car. In the wilderness with no phone signal, they prepared to walk to where there was signal. Min-woo saw Ji-suk's clothes dripping water and suggested she go behind the rocks to wring out her clothes before putting them back on. Coming out, he found her so cold her lips were blue and her muscles were slightly contracting. He decided to go back to the car to warm up first. Ji-suk in the car was shivering with cold and eventually passed out. On the other side, sister-in-law Mi-yeon was happily eating a feast, deliberately telling Suk-hoon she'd tampered with brother Min-woo's car to give him and Ji-suk a chance to be alone in the mountains. Suk-hoon urgently called both of them but couldn't get through. Without a word, he went out to find them. Actually, Mi-yeon was testing Suk-hoon's reaction. When Suk-hoon arrived, he found the two naked, nestled together. He remembered his previous instructions for Ji-suk to quickly have physical contact with Min-woo to gain his trust. Suk-hoon hadn't expected it to progress this quickly, but he felt jealous inside. To catch Min-woo's weakness and bring him down, Suk-hoon installed a camera in Min-woo's room. Unexpectedly, he saw Ji-suk and Min-woo talking and laughing, making Suk-hoon feel annoyed again. Taking advantage of Min-woo going downstairs, Suk-hoon sneaked into Min-woo's room, took out ginseng tea, and praised Ji-suk's skill at at seducing men, warning her that without his help behind the scenes, Ji-suk would still just be a saleswoman. He told her not to forget her identity and took out a box of money for her to pay off her father's debts. For her father's sake, Ji-suk could only endure silently. That night, Min-woo felt Ji-suk's body hadn't fully recovered and told her to sleep on the bed. What Ji-suk didn't expect was that he meant they'd sleep together. But Ji-suk felt it would be inconvenient and suggested buying another bed tomorrow. Min-woo had to say he'd temporarily compromise for one night and immediately lay down to sleep. Min-woo, waking up in the middle of the night, considerately helped her with the blanket and suddenly hugged Ji-suk, who was about to fall off the bed, telling her to sleep further in. Min-woo also realized he seemed to have fallen for her. This scene made Suk-hoon in front of the monitor feel troubled again. Early the next morning, they went to the mall to pick out a bed, but Min-woo was extremely picky. Either the color was too flashy and hurt his eyes, or he said he was allergic to the wood. After looking through the entire mall without choosing, he had to say, "Let's go eat lunch first." Seeing Ji-suk still going on about the bed, Min-woo angrily said he didn't want to sleep in the same bed with her either, but if they slept separately, what would the family think? If news spread that their marriage was troubled, causing the company's stock to drop, who would take responsibility? Ji-suk could only reluctantly agree. When she went to the bathroom, she happened to run into the rich guy Yoon-tae, who had humiliated her with money. Ji-suk quickly said he had the wrong person, but Yoon-tae wouldn't let it go and blocked her, even getting handsy. Frightened, Ji-suk quickly ran away. This scene was seen by Min-woo. It turned out Yoon-tae came to find Min-woo to discuss cooperation, taking out a box of money saying he wanted to win the reconstruction shopping center construction rights. But Min-woo had already investigated his company. Their cutting corners skills were second to none in the industry. Plus he had just harassed his wife. So Min-woo directly told Yoon-tae he'd blacklisted their company. So Yoon-tae went to find Suk-hoon, wanting to ask about Min-woo's preferences. Yoon-tae thought Min-woo wasn't interested in money and casually mentioned Ji-suk, who was just with Min-woo, was his old classmate. But it was strange that not long ago she came to their reunion to borrow money, and now suddenly she's dressed up like a wealthy heiress. Hearing this, Suk-hoon looked nervous. To prevent Ji-suk's identity from being exposed, Suk-hoon had murderous thoughts and wrapped his belt around his hand. Just as he was about to act, a car suddenly appeared, so Suk-hoon had to temporarily hold back. On the other side, unable to sleep, Ji-suk suggested having a drink with Min-woo. After this period of time together, they both had some understanding of each other. Ji-suk also voiced her recent troubles. Looking at the pitiful Ji-suk, Min-woo pulled her into an embrace, telling her she could cry on his chest from now on. Ji-suk felt Min-woo's love for her and didn't want to continue deceiving him, planning to reveal her true identity. Fortunately, Suk-hoon appeared in time to stop her, making an excuse to take Ji-suk away. Then Suk-hoon, to gain Ji-suk's sympathy, told her about his background, saying when he was 9, his father suffered a work injury but got no compensation. When he went to the company rooftop to protest, he accidentally fell. From then on, he understood that only those at the top have a say. He told Ji-suk he would stop at nothing to achieve his goals and told her to consider her family's safety. The next morning, father-in-law suggested Ji-suk work at headquarters in the department Min-woo manages, so they could look out for each other. But to avoid suspicion, Ji-suk should hide her identity and start from the bottom. The scheming mother-in-law demanded daughter Mi-yeon also transfer to headquarters and wanted to start at management level. However, father treated them equally and arranged Mi-yeon at the bottom level too. This didn't matter to Mi-yeon, just another place to slack off. This made old employees think she had strong backing. When asked, Ji-suk had to pretend not to know. Then Yoon-tae appeared at the company looking for Min-woo. Frightened, Ji-suk hid under the desk. Taking advantage of his inattention, she ran out trying to take the elevator to leave. Unexpectedly, Yoon-tae also followed in and was called by her name by a colleague. Ji-suk had to flee in panic. This made Yoon-tae suspicious of her identity. He immediately found Suk-hoon, saying he discovered Min-woo's wife had switched identities with his classmate, asking Suk-hoon to find evidence. After speaking, he took out a box of money for Suk-hoon. To placate Yoon-tae, Suk-hoon pretended to cooperate and told him not to leak it, but in his heart thought this person absolutely couldn't stay. The next day, he had his men go to Yoon-tae's house early to put poison in the beer, then went to his house to discuss countermeasures. But Suk-hoon was stalling for time. After Yoon-tae drank several cans of beer, the drug took effect and he passed out on the floor. Suk-hoon put on gloves, went forward, and gave another injection. Yoon-tae was killed just like that. On the other side, the mob boss found Ji-hyuk and said if he'd help assassinate someone, he'd write off his family's debt and give an additional 200 million as payment. But Ji-hyuk ultimately didn't agree. However, returning home, he discovered his mother had late-stage liver cancer and urgently needed a huge sum for treatment. Wanting to meet Ji-suk but being cruelly refused, he had to find the mob boss again to take the job. Before setting out, he left the address in a message for Ji-suk, saying if she was really his sister, come stop him from making a mistake. When Ji-suk received the message, she immediately called back, but her brother's phone was dead and turned off. He used a keycard to open the door. At this time, the target was slumped on the sofa. Little did he know the person he was supposed to eliminate, Yoon-tae, had already been killed by Suk-hoon. Just as he was about to act, kind-hearted Ji-hyuk still chose to give up. Meanwhile, the mob boss was reporting to Suk-hoon, learning that after Ji-hyuk came out, they'd silence him. Little did they know their conversation was overheard by Ji-suk, who had rushed over. When her brother came down ready to get in their car, Ji-suk, regardless of exposing her identity, jumped out and loudly shouted for her brother to run. Hearing this, Ji-hyuk pushed the mob boss away and pulled his sister's hand to escape together. After hearing her brother's account, Ji-suk learned her mother had late-stage liver cancer. She immediately took out some money for her brother's emergency. Unexpectedly, her brother threw the money on the ground, saying he didn't come for money but hoped his sister could go back to see their mother. But Ji-suk could only tell her brother she had no choice. The next day, Suk-hoon produced a syringe with her brother's fingerprints, threatening Ji-suk to remove Min-woo from his executive director position within 3 days, or he'd hand the evidence to the police and frame Ji-suk's brother for killing Yoon-tae. This left Ji-suk at a loss. Min-woo saw his distracted wife and took the opportunity to take Ji-suk out of the office. They came to a park to relax. During this time, he discovered Ji-suk had many secrets, but Min-woo still chose to trust her. Ji-suk also promised to tell everything when the time came. If Min-woo's heart could remain consistent, perhaps they could truly be together. As soon as they returned to the company, the mob boss found Ji-suk alone, demanding 300 million to buy back her brother's life. But the real heiress Eunha's account had been frozen by Suk-hoon. She had to find Min-woo to borrow money. Min-woo without a word went to the bank and withdrew 300 million in cash. Just as he was about to give the money to Ji-suk, prosecutors who had been lying in ambush surrounded Min-woo. Seeing the cash in the bag, they took Min-woo away for investigation on bribery charges. In a flash, Suk-hoon, as the representing lawyer, easily bailed Min-woo out. All of this was Suk-hoon's carefully orchestrated conspiracy. Sure enough, after returning home, the old chairman scolded Min-woo. Suk-hoon found Ji-suk and had her put a book in Min-woo's secret room. The next day, Ji-suk went to Min-woo's office to take the key and opened the secret room upstairs. Before leaving, Ji-suk flipped through the book and found a construction contract signed with Yoon-tae hidden inside, along with a check. She hadn't expected Suk-hoon actually wanted Min-woo to go to prison. Then she heard the door opening. She immediately put the documents in her pocket. Just as she ran out of the secret room, she bumped into Min-woo. He questioned how Ji-suk got in. Ji-suk had to lie, claiming the door was already open when she came back. Min-woo naturally didn't believe her and turned to find the maid who cleaned the room. Unexpectedly, the maid also said the door was open. Min-woo immediately rushed back to the company to check the safe. Little did he know the key had already been put back by Suk-hoon's man, and the housemaid had also been bought off by Suk-hoon. She was putting some psychiatric medicine in the water Min-woo regularly drank to make him hallucinate and have nightmares. He woke up from dreaming about strangling Eunha and accidentally knocked over the vase on the table, alarming the whole family to come check. Ji-suk quickly said she knocked it over while killing a bug, but father-in-law knew Min-woo's mental illness had relapsed, so he found the psychologist to understand the condition. The doctor recommended Min-woo be hospitalized immediately for treatment, or something irreversible might happen. Before leaving, he instructed Ji-suk to supervise Min-woo taking medicine on time. As soon as he returned to the company, Min-woo started having an episode. Ji-suk saw him mentally confused and quickly took Min-woo home to rest. But just arriving at the door, they saw a group of prosecutors conducting a surprise inspection. Ji-suk rushed back to the room and took out the contract from the wardrobe to tear it up directly. At this time, a group of people just rushed into the room and went straight to Min-woo's secret room. After pretending to search, they walked to the book Ji-suk had placed and used a knife to cut open the book's interlayer. They actually found a large bag of white powder inside. Ji-suk looked completely incredulous. Suk-hoon looked smugly at Ji-suk. Fortunately, it was just sleeping pill powder, but it made the chairman even more worried about Min-woo's mental state, so he convened an emergency shareholders meeting to vote on whether Min-woo could continue as executive director. Just then, Ji-suk, as a grassroots employee, actually burst into the conference room and revealed her identity as the executive director's wife, shocking colleagues. She said the sleeping pills found in the room were hers and told everyone to consider that if Min-woo was removed due to wrong information, it would inevitably cause the company's stock to plummet. This allowed Min-woo's executive director position to be preserved, infuriating Suk-hoon. He took the opportunity to find Ji-suk and questioned whether she'd considered the consequences of disobedience. However, this time Ji-suk didn't indulge him, telling him from now on she'd make her own life decisions. Then she took out a USB drive for Suk-hoon, asking him to consider whether to unfreeze Ji-suk's accounts. Suk-hoon opened the video. It was actually footage of him killing Yoon-tae. Enraged, he threw the USB on the ground and stomped on it furiously to vent his anger. Reluctantly, he had his men unfreeze all of Ji-suk's accounts. It turned out Ji-suk had previously overheard someone discussing Yoon-tae's case. Everyone suspected Yoon-tae brought women home to secretly film date videos and was retaliated against. So she infiltrated Yoon-tae's house, searching everywhere, and indeed found Yoon-tae's camera watch for secretly filming women in a vase, obtaining evidence of Suk-hoon's crime. She immediately went to the bank to withdraw a large sum of cash and paid off all the family's debts at once. She even paid the mob boss to kneel and apologize to her family. However, after receiving the money, the mob boss wasn't satisfied. He wanted to find the mastermind behind helping Ji-suk fake her identity to seek greater profit. So the two followed Ji-suk to the company. At this time, She was secretly meeting with Sukun, demanding he stop harassing her family and not continue framing Minwoo as conditions. After reaching an agreement, she handed over the watch to him. As Sukun was about to leave with the watch, suddenly the building's fire alarm went off. The mob boss grabbed Sukun's watch in the chaos, but coming out was knocked down by his man with a shoulder throw. The watch was also quietly picked up by someone. At dinner, Sukun discovered the watch was actually in his wife's hand. He had to come clean, saying he originally wanted to destroy the video and forget the past. If Mi-yeon still wanted to continue living with him, then don't open the video and destroy it. He then left the room, letting her decide. Mi-yeon struggled over whether to open it, but thinking she had just found out she was pregnant, she ultimately chose to trust Sukun for the child's sake. Meanwhile, Ji-suk took Minwoo to see an authoritative psychologist and had the medicine he usually took analyzed. It turned out it contained a large amount of hallucinogenic components. Minwoo couldn't believe it. The scenes he saw under hypnosis were all fake. Ji-suk hugged him, gently comforting him, lamenting that the world of the wealthy was full of danger. On the other side, after years of marriage, Mi-yeon was finally pregnant. But a maid brought a gift box to Ji-suk. It turned out to be a birthday gift she pre-ordered for herself last year. The chairman suggested holding a party tonight to celebrate. Ji-suk went to the room and opened it to find one red and one white dress and a key. Sukun, watching the screen, recalled the promise Eunha had made with him, though it now seemed void. Mi-yeon, in a great mood, went shopping crazily. Coming out, she accidentally bumped into an employee and inadvertently saw Ji-suk's resume. Upon inquiry, learning this employee had already passed away, she began to suspect Ji-suk's identity. Meanwhile, Ji-suk took the key to a villa where she actually saw Sukun's portrait. She also found a box behind the portrait containing photos of the two together and a notebook. From it, she learned Sukun's ultimate plan was to kill Minwoo and have Eunha inherit all of Minwoo's assets. That evening, the party proceeded as scheduled. When lighting the candles, the butler suggested everyone sing the birthday song together. Unexpectedly, the whole room was silent. Ji-suk didn't care and was about to blow out the candles when Minwoo led the singing. The chairman lamented it was the first time hearing his son sing. Eunha's father suggested Ji-suk play a piece as thanks. Hearing this, Sukun immediately became nervous. Ji-suk's fingers moved, and a beautiful melody emerged. It turned out when she worked as a saleswoman, she often secretly practiced on the mall's piano. At the end of the piece, she received applause from the entire audience. After the banquet ended, Minwoo returned to the room and gave Ji-suk a valuable diamond ring, saying it replaced the ring that fell in the water. At this moment, both seemed to forget they were a contracted couple. On the other side, Sukun came to Eunha's grave, put down their love token necklace, and couldn't help shedding tears remembering their past sweetness. Little did he know he was secretly followed by Mi-yeon, who finally confirmed their relationship. She had suspected before, so on the day of the incident, she had the maid put drugs in the wine, which caused Ji-suk to fall into the pool. Discovering her act of refusing to help was caught on surveillance, she had someone delete the footage. She thought eliminating Eunha would make Sukun come back to her, but unexpectedly Sukun still couldn't forget Eunha. What made her even more desperate was that when she went to the hospital for a checkup, she discovered it was a false pregnancy. Little did she know this was Sukun's manipulation to keep her in check. She took out their photo together and confronted Sukun, saying she already knew Ji-suk's true identity. Then she found the security guard who had deleted the video, and after confirming there was no backup, gave him money to run away. However, their meeting was secretly photographed by Sukun's man. When the man found the security guard to understand the situation, he nervously ran away but was hit unconscious by a car. When the security guard woke up, he told Sukun what happened and handed over the original surveillance video. When Sukun saw Eunha falling into the water struggling for dear life, he knelt by the pool sobbing uncontrollably. This scene was seen by Mi-yeon, who had returned. Seeing the photo of Eunha hidden in his wallet, Mi-yeon angrily tore it up. Soon after, Ji-suk's father accidentally saw his deceased daughter was still alive. He excitedly wanted to recognize his daughter, but his son wouldn't let him. Leaving, the father accidentally fell. Ji-suk saw this, but to conceal her identity could only help him up as a stranger. Watching her father's dejected back made Ji-suk's heart ache. Little did she know Mi-yeon had deliberately arranged their meeting to prove to Minwoo that Ji-suk would disown her family for money, suggesting Minwoo investigate his wife's identity. But Minwoo said he trusted Ji-suk and told his sister not to meddle. However, Mi-yeon wasn't willing to let her brother be deceived and put Ji-suk's fingerprint identification results in Minwoo's bag. Minwoo was shocked when he saw this report. Although he had suspected in his heart, he still chose to trust his wife. But reality is always cruelly hard to accept. When Ji-suk saw Minwoo still hadn't come home late at night and couldn't reach him by phone, she worried whether Sukun had acted early and asked Sukun if he knew where Minwoo was. Fortunately, Minwoo had the maid pass word that he had already gone to work and they shouldn't worry. Then the maid handed a package to the chairman. Inside was a letter and USB drive. The chairman played the video on the USB. It was actually surveillance footage of Mi-yeon pushing Eunha into the pool. The letter demanded the chairman transfer 50% of the group's shares and management rights to Minwoo, and announce him as heir at the upcoming charity event, or the video would be made public. After long contemplation, the chairman decided to arrange according to the mysterious person's demands. This infuriated the scheming stepmother. Learning this, Ji-suk remembered the notebook's contents, which said the day Minwoo became heir would be his death day. so she found Minwoo and revealed her true identity, telling him to give up inheriting the company or there would be danger. But the angry Minwoo wouldn't listen and directly drove Jisuk away, so she went to find a lawyer wanting to divorce early, but the lawyer said one day simply wasn't enough time. Jisuk had to find Eunha's congressman father, hoping he could stop father-in-law from passing the group to Minwoo. The charity gala proceeded as scheduled. Just as the chairman was about to announce the heir, Eunha's father appeared in time. After some conversation, the chairman taking the stage again immediately changed his tune, saying before his son gained recognition, he wouldn't hand over the company. Hearing this, Sukhoon's face turned livid. Not only that, Jisuk also wanted to donate half of her company's shares to give back to society. The purpose was to make Sukhoon give up on her assets. Just then, the lighting fixture overhead suddenly sparked. Seeing this, Minwoo on stage immediately rushed up. At the critical moment, he grabbed Jisuk, avoiding tragedy. To protect Minwoo, Jisuk had to propose divorce first, but Minwoo said if they divorced, his situation would only get worse and he'd have even less leverage to win shareholders' recognition. For both their interests, he disagreed with divorce. Jisuk had to propose divorce to everyone at the dinner table. When father-in-law asked the reason, unexpectedly Jisuk said it was because of Sukhoon, admitting she and Sukhoon were once lovers. Now that they had to live under the same roof made Jisuk feel very painful. Father-in-law warned Sukhoon that if he couldn't treat his daughter well, he'd kick him out of the house. But mother-in-law wasn't so easy to talk to and gave Sukhoon a beating. Minwoo, seeing things had reached this point, said in frustration they'd submit divorce papers tomorrow. But arriving at the Civil Affairs Bureau, they were told they could only make an appointment and needed to go through a 1-month divorce cooling-off period before applying. When the psychologist asked for their views of each other, they both spoke of the other's good points, making the doctor think they came to show affection. On the other side, Sukhoon sent another anonymous letter threatening his father-in-law, successfully getting him to transfer all his shares to Minwoo. He immediately gathered business elites for a hunting party. Minwoo, wanting to expand his network, naturally went along. To prevent Jisuk from ruining his plans, Sukhoon bribed prosecutors to take Jisuk away for investigation on embezzlement suspicion. She guessed Minwoo might be in danger and applied to make a call to distract them. Seeing no one came to handle it and she was locked up, Jisuk had to pretend to faint on the floor. As they were about to load her on an ambulance, Jisuk got up, jumped off the stretcher, and ran out, getting into a pre-arranged car and speeding away. She drove frantically to the hunting ground and rushed into the woods regardless of her own safety to find Minwoo. At this time, Minwoo was being followed by a hunter who was about to act when he heard police sirens and fled in panic. But Sukhoon didn't plan to give up this opportunity. He aimed at Minwoo's chest and pulled the trigger without hesitation. Suddenly a figure lunged at Minwoo. Minwoo was shot in the arm and passed out. Sukhoon saw a large group of police rushing down the mountain and had to give up the idea of a finishing shot. When Minwoo woke up, he was already in the hospital. Fortunately, it was just a graze on his arm with no major harm. Sukhoon said the hunter who accidentally fired had turned himself in and explained such accidents weren't uncommon. Only Mi-yeon was guiltily apologizing. She had seen it was her own husband who shot at her brother. Then she questioned her husband why he did this. Sukhoon denied it, saying he was just passing by. After being discharged, Minwoo knew Jisuk had saved him and understood she proposed divorce to protect him. But Minwoo said without Jisuk he couldn't live. This was also the first time Minwoo called her real name. Just like that, they reconciled. Jisuk prepared to expose Sukhoon's crimes to father-in-law, but Mi-yeon begged her to give her some time. She'd persuade Sukhoon to turn himself in. Then Mi-yeon saw Jisuk's family in harmony and thought her own family had been torn apart by Jisuk. A revenge plan came to mind. On the other side, Jisuk found the hunter who turned himself in, hoping he'd reveal who was behind it. But the hunter said it really was his own operating error and told Jisuk not to harass him anymore. He impatiently closed the door. Jisuk had to leave her card, telling him to think it over and contact her. Unexpectedly, there was no news for several days. Just when she thought there was no hope, the hunter suddenly called Jisuk asking to meet. He was covered in injuries, begging Jisuk to save him. It turned out just now, Mi-yeon found the mob boss to tie him up and beat him, warning the hunter that if he said he was taking the fall for someone, she'd bury him alive. The hunter was afraid Sukhoon would silence him, so he found Jisuk to help. But there was currently no evidence that Sukhoon instructed him to kill. Jisuk had a flash of inspiration and had the hunter find Sukhoon again, using his wife's serious illness needing treatment as a reason to demand more money from Sukhoon, or he'd expose the truth. His man, seeing him being ungrateful, prepared to kill him but was stopped by Sukhoon. Seeing he was doing it for his seriously ill wife, he gave him more money, warning the hunter that next time he'd kill him. Little did they know their conversation was all recorded. This evidence was enough to send Sukhoon to prison. But just as Minwoo was about to submit the evidence to police, he received a call from Sukhoon and heard a recording of Jisuk voluntarily agreeing to impersonate the heiress. Sukhoon asked if he'd send Jisuk to prison too. For Jisuk's sake, Minwoo had to give up. Not knowing this, Ji-suk asked if he'd given it to police. Min-woo had to lie, saying the evidence wasn't sufficient enough and they needed to find other evidence. On the other side, Mi-yeon had the mob boss investigate Ji-suk's family background. Learning Ji-suk's mom urgently needed a liver transplant, and the only brother who met transplant conditions was also allergic to peanuts. So she took the opportunity to ask Ji-hyuk out and put peanut powder in his coffee ahead of time. The day before surgery, Ji-suk's mom's condition suddenly worsened, requiring immediate surgery. But Ji-hyuk had an allergic reaction with swelling all over. The doctor said in this state, surgery could cause both to lose their lives. The father immediately called daughter Ji-suk, telling her to come to the hospital right away. Ji-suk had planned to give her mother a surprise after the surgery by introducing her husband. But when she arrived at the hospital, her mother had stopped breathing, ultimately not seeing her daughter one last time. Ji-suk felt extremely guilty and took out the gold ring she'd prepared for her mother to put on her. After burying her mother, she asked her brother why he suddenly had an allergic reaction that day and if he'd encountered anyone suspicious. Then her brother said Mi-yeon had met with him before surgery. Ji-suk hadn't expected Mi-yeon would collude with Suk-hoon. She went home to confront her. Mi-yeon admitted to meeting Ji-hyuk but didn't admit to doing anything. They got into an argument. Mi-yeon forcefully shook off Ji-suk's hand, and Ji-suk stumbled toward the pool. Fortunately, Mi-yeon grabbed her in time. This scene was seen by Min-woo, and suddenly in his mind flashed images of Ji-suk's accident that day. He clearly remembered his sister watching Eun-ha fall into the pool but refusing to help. Then Min-woo's eyes went black and he passed out. Soon after, Ji-suk found Suk-hoon. She demanded Suk-hoon kill her, saying this way she could change identities and start a new life, and promised to pass the group shares to Suk-hoon. Suk-hoon was very tempted. Little did he know Ji-suk was doing this to catch evidence of Suk-hoon's crime. Then Suk-hoon suggested creating an accidental fire incident and provided Ji-suk with fake identity documents, saying he'd prepare a corpse in advance to deceive everyone. However, Suk-hoon didn't plan to spare Ji-suk and instructed his men to prepare drugs. The next day, under the pretext of relaxing, several people came to a suburban villa. Min-woo took this opportunity to question his brother-in-law about why he wanted to kill him. Suk-hoon immediately played dumb and threw the question to Mi-yeon. Unexpectedly, his sister actually helped him explain. Even knowing the truth, Mi-yeon chose to turn a blind eye. Min-woo called his sister out to talk alone, saying he remembered the truth about Eun-ha falling in the water that day. Mi-yeon refused to admit it and fled in panic. Not seeing his sister, Min-woo was knocked unconscious by Suk-hoon's man with a club. On the other side, Ji-suk suddenly passed out. His man had already put drugs in her cup ahead of time. Suk-hoon carried her into the room, then had his men pour gasoline all over the house, set the villa on fire, and left. Worse yet, the police and reporters Ji-suk had arranged in advance were blocked by Mi-yeon, who learned about it and sent people to intercept them. At this time, Min-woo was thrown on a broken boat in the river. Seeing the villa on fire but being afraid of water, he didn't dare go over. Ultimately, for Ji-suk's sake, he overcame his fear and swam quickly to shore, rushing into the villa to carry out the unconscious Ji-suk. He also collapsed from overexertion. Suk-hoon, seeing this, had his men throw Ji-suk into the lake and frame Min-woo. The next day, news broke that he was suspected of murdering his wife. At this time, Ji-suk woke up in the hospital and secretly ran out in the middle of the night. Then a car forcibly picked her up and took her to an abandoned warehouse where Mi-yeon was waiting. It turned out she didn't want Suk-hoon to continue killing and secretly had the mob boss save Ji-suk, hoping she could use a new identity to live abroad, promising to send Min-woo and her family over. After Mi-yeon left, Ji-suk wanted to bribe the mob boss with money, but he accidentally let slip that Min-woo was in trouble himself. Ji-suk took the opportunity to grab the phone and run, hiding in a corner to call Min-woo for help. At this time, Min-woo was being taken away by police for investigation. When he received Ji-suk's call, he suddenly broke free from the police and drove away, having his secretary track Ji-suk's phone location. He quickly came to the area to search and finally saw Ji-suk by the roadside. Min-woo got out of the car and rushed over, hugging Ji-suk tightly. After this near-death escape, Ji-suk decided to turn herself in and expose Suk-hoon's crimes. Min-woo could only respect her decision, so they held a press conference. Ji-suk revealed her true identity and produced evidence of Suk-hoon's crimes to accuse him. Ultimately, Suk-hoon was taken away by police, and Ji-suk also bore the punishment she deserved. In the blink of an eye, for years had passed, Ji-suk could finally be openly together with Min-woo and formed a happy family. Thus concludes the Korean drama, Mask. I spent 100 hours creating this plot explanation. If you can, please give me a like and follow. Thank you all for watching. I'm Dino K-Drama. See you in the next Korean drama.